Regan Slaymaker for International Boxing News. And I have the pleasure to be joined by the Nuki Bomb, Brad Pauls. Brad, how are you today, mate?
All good, mate. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you for joining the channel for the first time as well, I think. So it's great to have you on.
Cheers, mate.
Before we jump into it, before we jump into the fight with Nathan Heaney on March 16th, I do want to discuss your English middleweight title win. Obviously, congratulations on winning that title against Mitchell Frearson. I mean, it's a great achievement winning that title, but how do you kind of reflect on that win?
Um, it's good memories to be honest, mate. I think when my career's done, I look back very fondly at that night. I think it was made a lot sweeter after the Denny loss. Obviously, I tried in February, didn't work out, and then tried again in September, and it worked out. So, yeah, it's just part of the journey, but one of my better nights at the office.
Definitely, mate. How did you find that kind of? Obviously, you mentioned obviously it's a bit sweeter, obviously considering the Tyler Denny loss. But kind of how was that in between period from the Denny loss to the Frearson fight? Was it a difficult period? Did you have to kind of go through a bit there?
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, it was my first loss in since my amateurs, so it was a long time since I'd lost before that, and it was a whole new sort of feeling. When you lose as a pro, especially on a stage like that, you feel like you have a lot of explaining to do. Like people are like, why did that happen? Oh, and you see people in this, it's almost awkward, like they're trying to figure out like or give their opinion on why they thought it happened, which wasn't the nicest experience to be honest. So I'm not one to dwell on it or beat myself up. I went and got a win about 7 weeks later, and then really looked at why it happened and how I could make sure it wouldn't happen again, and how I could add to my training camp to make sure it doesn't happen. So blessing in disguise, I think, because from there I went away. I got a nutritionist. I really doubled down with my mindset coach. I really had a look at how I could improve, and then yeah, it like made sense when I got the fight in September and got the win. So yeah,
Definitely. I mean, obviously you bounced back. Obviously, I think you went on the George Groves boxing club as well, mate. That was a great episode as well. I do want to touch on that. Obviously, I asked this to Danny Dingham after the Janabek loss. I feel like you might have the same answer, but I'll ask you it anyway. Kind of seeing what kind of Denny went on to do. Obviously, he's on a fantastic run at the moment. Does
Hmm.
does that kind of make the loss a bit easier to take, or is it still like no, I want to amend that defeat?
Good question. I think it's how you lose. Like,
Mm.
if I went in there and I did I performed my absolute best, and it was everything I had. I look back and I go, I couldn't have done any more. Then you'd look at it one way and you'd be like, fair enough, that's just how it is. But if anyone's ever seen me box or knows me at all, I no discredit to Denny. He obviously is a good fighter, but you look at my performance now, like he was not even nearly anything like he normally is. So it's sometimes if you lose, it's how you lose. And obviously, Dignam's I suppose is different. He lost to world sort of level opponent, but yeah, it was a mixture. It was a mixture of me underperforming, which is obvious, and then Denny is a bit good. Like he went on, he is a bit good, isn't he? He's not a bad fighter. So just one of those ones, really. I'd prefer not to have lost, but
No, definitely, and it shows you bouncing back and winning that title, mate, as well. And how it's not how you lose, it's how you come back as well.
exactly.
We'll jump into it. Obviously, huge news for yourself. March 16th, Magnificent Seven. You're a part of it. You're challenging Nathan Heaney for the British Middleweight title. I mean, fair to say, you're buzzing for that night in Birmingham, mate.
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive. It's funny how boxing works. Sometimes, like I would have had to defend my English, and then would have waited maybe a year to get made mandatory for a British or something like that. But got a phone call before Christmas, and they was like, "They picked you, mate. They picked you as a voluntary." And I said, "I've never said yes so fast in my life." I was like, "Absolutely!" Like this is what it's about. This is what people dream of. Where I'm gonna be. You got to think about it. I'm gonna be there. Heaney sold 3,000 tickets. I'm the villain for the day on a massive show stacked from bottom to the top, with all these big names on it that I've enjoyed watching over the years. And then to turn up there and pinch that belt and walk away and beat him is what dreams are made of. I think it's stuff like in Rocky movies, isn't it? I'm going to be the underdog. I'm the away fighter against all odds. I'd be very happy. So yeah, it's exciting, and I got a buzz at the press conference. I'm sitting next to Frank and Joe Joyce, and that is you couldn't be more motivated.
Definitely. I mean, if there's two people I'd like to sit in between, it'd be Frank Warren and Joe Joyce. That sounds pretty special. Obviously, you mentioned something quite interesting there. Obviously, you might have to play the villain role in a fight with Nathan Heaney where all of his Stokies are going to be in the arena. Is that something you're like looking forward to relishing?
Um, yeah, a little bit. It's funny how it works because my last for the English Frearson, it's not on the same scale, but I sold about 100 tickets. He sold over 300. Popular guy, and it was the first time ever I got booed in my life ever. Walked out and it was to booze, and I said straight away after the fight, I was like, I weirdly liked it.
Yeah.
Like, it was a little bit like everyone booing it. It's a bit like, fuck you, man. Do you know what I mean? And it was like a little taster. Obviously, this is going to be a lot different. Um, but I don't take it personal. It just adds to the energy in the room. But like Nathan seems like a nice bloke, and it's going to be best man's going to win. So yeah, I don't mind being the villain for the night. No problem.
I mean, it's going to be a great night in Birmingham. Obviously, away from kind of Nathan's massive fan base that he brings to fights, which is kind of an achievement in itself. Obviously, what do you kind of know as Nathan Heaney is the fighter? Obviously, he's coming off that career best performance against Denzel Bentley. But kind of what do you know about Nathan Heaney?
Um, I've watched a few of his fights. I think he's quite well rounded. I think he's a good mover. I think he has a good engine. I think he can box a bit. His punch power's probably okay. Um, and he must be doing something very well to be beating someone like Denzel Bentley. And you go off on someone's last performance, and whether Denzel had a bad night or that's just how good Heaney is, that's what happened. And I know Denzel, and I've sparred Denzel a few times, and I rate him very highly. So, um, yeah, I give him credit. He turned up and he did what he needed to do to beat Denzel. So, um, I think it'll gel for a good fight. To be honest, my style and his style, I think it'll gel, so it'll be entertaining.
Definitely, no doubt. Obviously, I feel like I already know the answer to this question. It's a fight that you're confident in winning as well.
Definitely, definitely. It's really weird. Even before he picked me, and I think even before he fought Bentley, and someone mentioned him, I was like, I'd like to fight him. Like I respect, he's good. I watch him fight, and I think nothing about him completely wows me. I feel when I watch him, I feel like I can beat him, and then I get the call, and I was like, yeah, straight away. Someone I thought I could beat before, anyway. So, yeah, I'm very confident.
Definitely. Well, we're looking forward to seeing that one. I think that is one of the kind of the most exciting fights on the card. Obviously, headlining as well.
Mm.
Obviously, kind of you've won the Southern area, you've won the English. Obviously, this fight's for the British. Obviously, there's not a lot of emphasis on some fighters. They want to do the traditional route, that Southern area, English, British, Commonwealth, European, and then world honours as well. Going that way, is that something that you'd like to achieve, or that is that the route that you'd like to take in your boxing career?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really difficult the traditional route because there's certain belts in there you can't really navigate around and have an easy fight for. So like sometimes you get people box for intercontinental or whatever, and you can sort of manipulate it a little bit and have an easier fight. But with traditional route, you're gonna have a tough fight. There's never been an easy British title fight. It's always a difficult fight. So I think it's the most credible route. Um, and yeah, it sounds good, doesn't it? Like I think there's a picture of Tyson Fury, and I think he's won every belt on the way through, didn't he? Apart from his area one. And I think it just looks amazing. It's a lot of belts, so that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Bit of
It definitely would. I mean, I wish I was as good as you guys to even consider going that route, mate, as well.
that.
Obviously, former opponent of yourself, you mentioned kind of previously in the interview that kind of you yourself, you admit that you weren't your best against Tyler Denny. Obviously, he holds the European title now. Is that definitely, obviously, a win against Nathan Heaney, a rematch that you'd like to consider as well?
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out at all. And it'd be nice to box Denny and perform how I know I can perform. So to see what would really happen if it was me 100% with my lessons learned and my better camps and stuff. But yeah, you can't rule it out. You think I'll win the British? I'll have to defend it a couple of times, and then I'm sure Denny would want the British as well. So yeah. two or three fights time, no problem.
A rematch with some kind of domestic titles in unifications. I love those fights. I think they're
Quality.
great. Brad, my final question. Thank you again for giving me your time today, mate. We ask everyone this. What does boxing mean to you?
Um, Coming from someone who's boxed since they were 10 and I'm nearly 31, I've never had a season off. It's just everything. Like I fear the day that I don't box anymore. So I don't know what I'll do. I don't know who I am. But yeah, I'll just have to say everything, mate. I've never done anything else.
Wow, that is a very profound answer, Brad. Thank you again for giving me your time today, mate. That was one of the best answers to that question. Yeah, best of luck March 16th as well.
Thank you very much, mate. I'll show you a picture with the belt after, yeah.
Definitely, mate. We'll link up after get an interview there as well.